Hey guys, Eric and Matt here. We're coming out of WrestleMania weekend. We just went to a lot of wrestling events the past few days.
Yeah, one that some people didn't expect. It was kind of last minute thrown together, which was NXT did a sort of a house show Friday night.
Yeah.
And because the NXT people were actually working Access all day until, essentially some of them till 10 p.m. on Friday night, the show didn't start till 10 p.m. It went till 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
Late for wrestling shows, but not for crowds during WrestleMania weekend. And I'm actually really happy that it got put together like that. WWE got to have their product, which even though it's the NXT brand, on a Friday show for the WrestleMania crowd, which is a lot more intense than usual crowds. People travel all over the world, from all over the world, and the NXT locker room got to experience that.
Yeah.
They didn't just get to perform at Access; they got to perform at a show in front of a pretty packed. It was to capacity or over capacity at about 5,300 people.
Yeah.
And experience that microcosm fan passion.
And NXT, I think the buzz has really been building on them the past year or two, especially in the past year, and people are really excited about it. This was our first opportunity to be at one of their live events, and it was great, and you really did see the excitement, and I feel like this will be another sort of stepping stone for them along the way. What do you think it is that is getting people so excited, especially some of the more jaded wrestling fans, of the product that NXT is putting out?
I'll say this, is that a lot of other wrestling companies who have started up and they're told their idea is we need to be an alternative to the WWE. That's our best. We can't just be another WWE. We have to provide counter programming.
Right.
And the WWE, what they've done is they've turned their developmental system into its own form of counter programming.
Yeah.
So it's like they have the product and then they have the antithesis under one umbrella. So
right.
It's actually pretty smart. It will be interesting as NXT grows the way they want it to grow, because they're on the road now and doing shows for crowds, selling tickets instead of just doing tapings for the network.
Yeah.
I'm already at the point where I love NXT stars to the point where I don't want them to go any further than NXT.
Right.
And which is what it's designed for, is to put people on Raw and SmackDown, because now we've seen mixed results on that.
Yeah.
You can get the Shield and you can get the Wyatts, but you can also, get the Adam Rose, and you can get some people who go up there, Paige, who go up there and do mostly comedy shtick and then just kind of fade into.
Did you mean Paige or Emma?
Sorry, Emma.
Yeah.
Emma. Paige is one of the success stories.
Right. Right.
So it's a roll of the dice.
Yeah.
Whereas they could stay at NXT and kind of remain in this awesome bubble,
NXT certainly has what a lot of people would argue is sort of more wrestling. There's a lot more in-ring action, and these guys really get to show off what they're doing. I should say guys and girls. We'll talk more about that. But also, the characters. To me, there's something kind of old school about some of the characters. Not that WWE doesn't have heightened characters, and they always will, but some of these guys are a little more pushed than some of the current guys who are just like, I'm a badass.
Yeah.
And it is interesting to see when some of them go to WWE and it doesn't quite work. Like Adam Rose was super over in NXT.
Once he did the party gimmick, yeah.
Yeah, and then he came to Raw, and it was fun for a little bit, but people didn't seem to keep with it. What do you think that is? What do you think the difference is?
Having 1 hour a week helps NXT, and the fact that not every superstar gets on that show every week spaces out their appearances to the point where, somebody like a Fandango or an Adam Rose or anybody with a really fun entrance who comes up to Raw, but then you see them on Raw, you see them on SmackDown, you see them on Raw, you see them on SmackDown, people tire of them a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't see them as often, it doesn't happen like that, which is what NXT is all about.
I think it's also kind of helps that it is kind of rough and tumble. It's a smaller arena.
Yeah,
It feels like, I don't know, there's something more participatory, even though WWE gets this giant packed arenas with everyone cheering. Something about being in that kind of closed little area and everyone's kind of having fun.
And the NXT fans, look, NXT is also, because it's developmental, they have pulled indie stars from across the country.
Yeah.
You've got someone who's super popular with indie fans already, like Sami Zayn, and previously Cesaro, and these are, and now Kevin Steen also, who works as Kevin Owens. These are also people who have spent years and years actually on the indie scene wrestling each other, so the matches they're actually giving you are things that they've spent years perfecting, and that's why they're so good. Mm-hmm. These are people that know each other really well.
And then we want to talk about the women's division because it's super strong, and somewhere WWE gets a lot of criticism for not having maybe as many strong divas as they could, and then the ones they do, not utilizing them as much as they could, or not giving them real matches. It's just like these quick little moments. It's a huge part of NXT that's getting bigger and bigger, I feel. Just a couple weeks ago, I know Charlotte and Sasha Banks like closed out the show on NXT, which is still like I think once it happened on Raw with a Lita Trish match. So what do you think about the women's division in NXT?
Well, we can go back to the live show Friday night.
And Friday night, yeah.
Which is where, Charlotte and Sasha Banks pretty much brought the house down. And this is a card that already had Finn Balor versus Adrian Neville and Hideo Itami versus Tyler Breeze. Had some really strong matches already, but they were the match of the night. Yeah. And people got, super into that.
And where you're concerned about them like going to Raw, sometimes I share that too, because I want these women to do great because they're performing so well, but you're afraid if they go to Raw, what if they're just not used?
It's not to say that Sasha Banks and Charlotte can't go to Raw and someday be Divas champion, but it's just the match that they're going to have to win that will be 3-4 minutes long.
Right.
It's not going to be a 20-minute match.
No. And the crowd, like you said, it stole the show. And people were going crazy for the match. We should also mention we were seated right near where Triple H and Stephanie were standing, right behind us by the tech stuff.
And this is Triple H's sort of quote-unquote baby.
Yeah.
He has real children, but this is his project, and it was just really cool to see Triple H and Steph out the whole time, just sort of beaming like proud parents over this show. Yeah. And also just because it was so well received, and then also Vince came out.
Vince was there.
Vince came out to watch, and that was another really great moment.
Yeah, and you're hoping, this will help elevate them. Lastly, we were talking about how there's only an hour, and that helps them in a lot of ways. But I do say I would love to have a little more NXT, and I was even overhearing some people at that show saying, hey, it'd be cool if they had a 2-hour show. I do agree. I'd love it if we're a 2-hour, but not going to the extreme of WWE where there's like 6 hours a week of original programming at least between Raw, SmackDown, and main event.
Yeah, like I said, going back, oversaturation a little bit with some of their stars to the point where it's like I can say, do I want to watch these two guys wrestle again after seeing them wrestle twice already in the past 2 weeks?
Right.
Which is kind of what SmackDown's turned into a lot, which is why a lot of people skip that show. But I'm going to say I like it at 1 hour, even though it's more exposure for people. Yes, if it were 2 hour, but I'm kind of finding like with other federations, like the 1 hour show is like Lucha Underground and some other ones. They run a 1 hour show. I think it works well.
This is where we split because I want that 2 hour show, but just the 2 hour show. So that's our thoughts on NXT. Why we're really excited about it, and I think while more wrestling fans are discovering it, I hope even more are going to start check it out. Let us know what you think of NXT in the comments. Let us know what you think about the 1 hour versus 2 hour controversy. It's not a controversy. We don't make it. For plenty more on all things wrestling, keep it here at IGN.